The origin of life is terrestrial, although the theory of panspermia suggests that life can originate anywhere in the universe. Just as the life of the deities arose from the earth, personified by the goddess Gaia, the Great Mother, so will the life of species arise near underwater hot springs, in a long process of creation and evolution spanning billions of years. This long process of evolution has been modified by great mass extinctions, which have distorted the evolutionary path. Since life began on Earth around 4 billion years ago, 6 mass extinctions have occurred. Nevertheless, evolution continued, producing great changes in the geography of the planet through major geological and biological events. Our ancestor, Homo habilis, appeared 2.5 million years ago with the ability to make stone tools thanks to a larger brain than previous hominids. Homo erectus, which appeared 1.5 million years ago, came to occupy a large part of the Old World. After a long evolution of numerous Homo species, Homo sapiens appeared in Africa around 250,000 years ago, until it was left alone around 12,000 years ago. In successive migrations using land bridges, Homo sapiens spread across all continents except Antarctica, without really knowing, or being able to say how. Since those decisions belong to the Almighty, this species of Homo sapiens already had the divine spark within them, although of course they were unaware of it. Apparently, they had been genetically manipulated by higher entities. One of the first places where Breezy and the Guardians of the Magic Dropper met together as accomplices and witnesses to destiny was the Great Rift Valley, later known as the Cradle of Humankind. From there, Homo sapiens spread across almost the entire planet, beginning to demonstrate their creative capacity and natural musical gifts. The period from the appearance of the first human being around 6 million years ago to the invention of writing and the emergence of the state as a social organization around 5,000 years ago is what we know as prehistory. This period will be momentous for Breezy and his faithful collaborators, as the first ties between deities and mortals will be established there, and Breezy will begin his great social and cultural work, thanks to the powers conferred by the Magic Dropper. One of the most significant events of this era is undoubtedly the theft of fire from the gods and the delivery of it to mankind by the cunning Prometheus. On the paradisiacal island in the eastern Mediterranean known as Cyprus, lived the Titan Prometheus, son of Iapetus and the Oceanid Asia. Prometheus was not afraid of the dominant gods and sometimes ridiculed Zeus, the king of the gods, for his lack of sagacity. In his youth, he had a torrid love affair with the powerful Hecate, the patron saint of the sacred threshold of magic. Hecate has detested Breezy since birth, feeling self-conscious and displaced by her, as she always believed she deserved the Magic Dropper. To get away from the other deities, Hecate decided to break off her passionate relationship with Prometheus and establish her estate in the underworld, far from all the hypocrisy that reigns on Olympus. The rebel Titan was responsible for teaching humans how to wield fire, as they were familiar with it from natural phenomena, but didn't know how to use it, much less manipulate it. Prometheus, later known as the protector of humanity, violating Zeus's order, emerged from the mouth of a volcano in the Troodos Mountains, holding a torch lit with fire stolen from the Cyclops' forge. Prometheus distributed fire among humans while teaching them how to light, use, and preserve it, thus passing the knowledge from one cave to another. Breezy and the Anemoi adventurers, on their constant journeys around the planet, witnessed how fire was distributed, feeling great respect for Prometheus's devotion and sacrifice for humanity. For his part, the insurgent deity, sometime later, hatched a plan to steal the Magic Dropper and also hand it over to humans. The cunning Prometheus knew this couldn't be achieved by force, given the resounding and much-discussed failure of the dreaded Hecatonchires, which had served as an example to other deities. Breezy's wind gods attacked them on Rhodope Mountains. When they began to strike at the sudden winds that attacked them from all 4 cardinal points, they themselves became entangled in their many arms and heads. They were then carried and thrown to the banks of the ocean river, where they resided as guardians of one of the gates to the underworld. Prometheus sought a way to outwit Breezy and the vigilant Anemoi, so he went hunting in the Rhodope Mountains, although far from the Palace of Thrace, checking out the area and interacting with the region's flora and fauna. Back home, he asked the Cyclops to make him a suit from the skin and head and antlers of a large mufflon he had brought as a hunting trophy, an animal similar to sheep and goats, but much larger, so he could pass unnoticed through the mountains and reach the entrance to the Palace of Thrace. He also asked them to make him a magic key that would open any door in his path. The Cyclopes, known as Brontes, Steropes, and the Violent Arges, grateful for the help they had received from Prometheus, who after the Titanomachy had invited them to live on the island, where they were able to build their divine forges and form their respective families, began by making the mufflon suit in 2 pieces, and after it was finished, they made a tiny but effective key, which they tested on different doors of their residences excavated and carved in stone, until they decided that it worked perfectly. When everything was ready, the Titan Prometheus left in search of his destiny. Already in the mountainous region of Thrace, near where the Hecatonchires had begun their ascent, Prometheus, disguised in the head and skin of the mufflon, and with the little key around his neck, set out to climb the Rhodope Mountains to carry out his plan to seize the magic dropper. Thanks to his mufflon suit with its sturdy horns and walking for long stretches as if on 4 legs, he advanced with relative ease, managing on several occasions to outwit the Anemoi patrolling the mountainous area from the air, as well as the magical horses, with which, along with other animals, he drank water from one of the many streams that crisscrossed the region. The Ents, the guardians of the forests surrounding the Palace of Thrace, also opened the way for him until he finally reached the lonely entrance. Using the small key, which enlarged or shrank as needed, he entered the spacious vestibule. Prometheus had visited the Palace of Thrace in the company of the beautiful Aphrodite to participate in the dinner after Breezy received the magic dropper. He was therefore familiar with its interior layout, going directly to the lush garden of Chloris, where he sensed the entrance to the intricate sacred cave must be. After a quick search, he found the entrance to a grotto protected by a fake piece of wood resembling a target, the marks in the center of which spoke of the marksman's skill. Believing the long-awaited moment had arrived, he entered through the mouth of the grotto. For a long time, he gropes his way down a steep staircase that leads to a tunnel, through which he walks cautiously until he reaches a slightly larger area, apparently a cave, where he realizes he's not alone. For a long time, he crouches, waiting for an attack from the guardians protecting the magic dropper. His vision begins to clear, and that's when he identifies the supposed guardians who have been waiting for him. Breezy and his family have cleverly outsmarted his cunning, and what he finds before him are 3 very frightened female mufflons, with plenty of grass to eat and a large bowl of water to quench their thirst. To add to his bad luck, he discovers he's trapped inside the cave, having to settle for the mufflon's company all night without being able to rest. At dawn, he incredibly finds the exit, and his first thought is to flee. Upon returning through the tunnel and poking his head into the garden of Chloris, he encounters Breezy, who, with a rather unfriendly expression, brandishes a slingshot, threatening the intruder. The Titan Prometheus, somewhat embarrassed, withdraws his head from the mufflon, and with great dignity accepts his defeat. Breezy, lowering his sling and with a frank smile, like the one he had given him when they met earlier at the exit from Olympus, said, "Admired Prometheus, you don't know how long I've been waiting for this moment. I have watched with great respect as you violated Zeus's orders and taught humans how to manipulate fire and how to benefit from it. Don't you think we have common interests? Don't you think it's time we came together and you joined the group ready to help humanity until the end of time, guided by the Almighty and supported by the powerful power of the magic dropper?" In a long conversation, Breezy helps Prometheus understand what the magic dropper is and explains why it will never be within the reach of any of the earthly deities or of any mortals, if not, as the Almighty had so determined. Although there will always be those who covet it and make vain efforts to try to possess it, Breezy finally suggests that he join his family and use all his cunning to support humanity's great adventure. Filled with mixed emotions, Prometheus agrees, and Breezy, overjoyed, summons the adventurers Anemoi, the horses Xanthos and Balius, and her mother Chloris, who have been part of the plan to teach the burly and cunning Titan a lesson. They have been waiting for the conversation to unfold in order to celebrate her joining the group with an impromptu concert in the garden, as everyone sings and plays various musical instruments. Breezy asks her father to take Prometheus so he can change out of his mouflon costume and feel more comfortable. She asks Prometheus to give her the costume and the magic key as collateral. As another gesture of goodwill, she asks him to take her to meet the famous Cyclops, who she is sure will be great allies in the future. Breezy's encounter with the Cyclops in their impressive forges was quite an event. The three families laughed uncontrollably when Prometheus told them the tale of how they had outwitted him and had 3 mouflons, plenty of grass, and a large bowl of water waiting for him at the end of his long and agonizing journey. The Cyclopes were enchanted by Chiron's refined cube, giving it due respect for the centaur's mastery. After Breezy saw its forges and monumental chambers, they were hired to remodel the Palace of Thrace. The industrious Cyclopes quickly set to work, and before the end of the first year, after arduous labor and based on the universal laws of sacred geometry, the divine artisans had transformed the austere Palace of Thrace into an architectural gem. Pi and Phi, Palace Secrets. Among other details, its interior decoration features include elaborate columns, colorful frescoes, and sensational family sculptures, including some of Breezy, along with those of other associated deities. Particularly noteworthy is the reconstruction of the interior garden, or Garden of Chloris, dominated by an enigmatic geometric pattern formed by 13 large circles, crowned by a sensational glass dome formed by equilateral triangles. With the appearance of the human race on planet Earth, just as Breezy, the daughter of the wind and bearer of the magic dropper, had predicted to Zeus in that conversation on one of the terraces of Olympus, human beings began a slow but steady development.